Okay, so this question is from 2018 paper. A solid sphere is rotating freely about its axis in free space. Okay, freely about its axis in free space. So this is how it goes. If this is a sphere, then this is the axis and it is rotating like this. Let's suppose the angular velocity is omega. Which of the following? Okay, so the radius of the sphere is increased. So this was the initial radius. Now it is actually increased to this much. Okay, so this is the new radius. Okay, you can say keeping the mass as the same. Okay, mass is actually the same. Now we need to find out which of the following remains constant for the sphere. Okay, then moment of inertia. What do you know about moment of inertia? Moment of inertia, I is equal to something into mr square, and that something depends on which type of body you are taking into account. Now this is a solid sphere, so I can write it as 2 by 5 mr square about this axis, and if it is about this axis, that will be 7 by 5 mr square. So if r is increasing, keeping the mass constant, then I can say that moment of inertia will increase. So this is not our answer. Rotational kinetic energy is half I omega square. This is equal to kinetic energy rotational. Now, as you can see here, this is going to increase, isn't it? As of now, the moment of inertia itself is going to increase. Then you can say that this is not conserved or not constant. Now, angular velocity and angular momentum. So we are supposed to understand certain basic concept over here. Okay. Here it is actually rotating freely about its axis in the free space. So I can say that torque external torque is equal to 0. So I can say that the angular momentum is conserved. Just like you say, if the net external force is equal to 0, then the linear momentum is conserved. Likewise, if the net external torque is equal to 0, then I can say that the net angular momentum is conserved. The angular momentum as such is conserved. So this is conserved. Okay, so this is conserved. Now if angular momentum is conserved, I know that I omega is a constant, or it is conserved, because I omega is equal to L vector. See, my moment of inertia is going to increase. Fine, so my omega has to decrease. Okay, so angular velocity is going to decrease. Rotational kinetic energy is half I omega square. Omega will decrease and I is going to increase. So that means there is some kind of a fluctuation over here. So definitely I can say that angular momentum as such is conserved over this particular answer. So the correct answer for this question is option number 2. So we have another routine simple question from the topic of rotation. This is again a question from 2018 exam. A solid sphere is in rolling motion. Rolling means it has translational plus rotational component. The ratio of k translational divided by k translational plus k rotational. So this is the kinetic energy of translational motion. So I can write this as half mv square divided by k translational is again half mv square. Now this is half I omega square. Fine. So for I will be substituting mk square in that particular equation. So I am going to get this equation that is very commonly encountered, half I omega square into half mv square into 1 plus k square by r square. Okay, so this is the translation kinetic energy, this is the rotational kinetic energy. This equation is directly learned as the total energy in rolling motion. Okay, this is the rotational kinetic energy plus translational kinetic energy. Fine. So this is called by the name of rolling kinetic energy, total kinetic energy, considering the rotational as well as translational component. This is a direct question, so I can just cancel this out. So this is 1 divided by 1 plus k square by r square of a solid sphere is obviously 2 by 5. I can just substitute it here. So this will be 5:7. So the correct answer is 5:7 for this question. Fine. So for this question I will be marking option 4 as the right answer. This is a routine question, a simple question which you can solve in 30 seconds or 25 seconds. It's very easy because you are supposed to know this formula by heart. By the time you go for appearing in the NEET exam, these things will be by heart, obviously. Let's proceed to the next one. Okay, so this is a question actually incorporating the concepts of vertical circular motion with the concept of energy conservation. Fine. So in this particular question, if I just revise this particular concept of this particular particle which is executing a horizontal I mean vertical circular motion, the minimum velocity on each point, minimum velocity at this point so far as it is supposed to cover the entire circle without falling or slacking down, this is root of gr, isn't it? Where r is the radius. If it is connected by a string, then you will take it as the length of the string. Fine. So this is root of gr. This is root of 3gr. This is root of 5gr. This is called by the name of point of entry. So the particle is actually entering here at this particular area with a speed called as v is equal to root of 5gr, and that makes it complete the circle over here. So this is v is equal to root of 3gr, fine, at this particular midpoint. And then it goes upwards, and the speed with which it is, minimum speed which it should have over here is v equal to root of gr. If it is less than v equal to root of gr, it will simply fall off like this. It will not complete the circle. Fine. So it is said that a body initially at rest and sliding along a frictionless track from height h. So this is the height h, just completed the vertical circle of diameter AB equal to d. Okay. So this particular diameter is d. So you can take the radius as d by 2. The height h is equal to. I can simply apply the energy conservation here. So if mgh is the total potential energy which it had over here, as it comes over here, it becomes kinetic energy, and the minimum velocity with which it should enter this particular circle so as to complete the circle as it is given in this particular question is root of 5 gr, where r is the radius of this particular circle. So this is half m multiplied by v square. So this is root of 5gr, the whole square is 5g multiplied by r, which is d by 2. Fine. Now all we need to have is to find out the answer. So this h is equal to, you can take this as 5g is also gone, right? So 5d by 4. This is the answer for this question. Okay. So this was a question again in 2018 paper. This is a good question incorporating two concepts. So I will be making a separate video for discussion of all good questions from the topic of vertical circular motion. I will be posting that soon in YouTube. Okay, let's proceed to the next one. So guys, please take a look at this. It is again a question from 2018. So I think this is the third question, isn't it? Three objects A. So if I talk about A, it is a solid sphere. Fine, and these three things have the same mass and same radius. They all spin with their same angular speed omega about their own symmetry axis. The amounts of work done required to bring them to rest would satisfy the relation. See, work done is equal to change in kinetic energy. So this is equal to kinetic energy final minus of kinetic energy initial. See, initially they had so much of kinetic energy, I do agree, but finally they had they will be coming to rest, isn't it? So they say that the amount of work done to bring them to rest, so final kinetic energy will be 0. So work done is equal to initial kinetic energy with a negative sign. Negative sign indicates that it is opposing its motion. Fine. So that is why it is coming to rest. So I can simply take a look at the kinetic energy of each of them. If the kinetic energy of each of them is seen, and if I say that, okay, the maximum, whichever body is having more kinetic energy will be requiring more work to stop its motion. Okay. So that concept can be used over here, because this is work energy principle has been taken into account over here. So I can simply say, in case of A, half I omega square is the kinetic energy. Okay, this is equal to half multiplied by, what is I here? 2 by 5 mr square, solid sphere. That's it. This is mr square omega square upon 5. So what is B then? B is a thin circular disc. So that is half I omega square, that is mr square by 2 multiplied by omega square, that is mr square omega square divided by 4. And the last one, C is this one, isn't it? This is actually a circular ring. So that is half mr square omega square, that is mr square omega square by 2. Now tell me which is biggest here. So obviously this is more, this is maximum. So C greater than, the next one is B, isn't it? B is more than A. Okay. Answer for this question is option number 1. Simple question, isn't it? Let's proceed to another one. So this is a question from the year 2017 exam. One end of a string of length L is connected to a particle of mass m, and the other end is connected to a small peg on a smooth horizontal table. So this, let's suppose this is a table. Now here one end is connected to a mass m and the other end is connected to the peg like this. Okay. If the particle moves in a circle with speed v, so this is actually moving in a circle with the speed v like this in this particular way. Fine. So it actually revolves like this. If the particle moves like this, net force on the particle is, obviously this is moving in this particular way, and the net force directed towards the center, this is called by the name of the centripetal force. Fine. The only force acting on this is the mass weight that is towards this particular downward direction. Fine. Okay. And the mv square by r is actually moving in the opposite direction. Fine. That is the centrifugal force which is acting over here. Maybe it's a pseudo force, you can say. Now the point is, what is the only centripetal force? What is maintaining the motion? Centripetal force is maintaining the motion of the particle in circular motion. Now the centripetal force is that force which is directed towards the center. Now that centripetal force is tension. This is the only force which is acting across the center, isn't it? And that is the centripetal force towards this particular direction. Maybe that tension is equal to mv square by L, but the point is, this mv square by L can also be considered as the centrifugal force which is actually, counteracting tension in that way. So the point to remember is the answer for this question is tension, because that is the only force which is acting towards the center, and that will therefore be the centripetal force. Okay, very simple question. So the answer for this question is 1. We don't have to go for any further explanation for this question. Simple question as it is. This is a very standard question that they have asked in the year 2017 itself. Fine. So this is again a question of 2017. Two disks of same moment of inertia. So I is the same for both, rotating about their regular axis, passing through the center. So if this is a disk, isn't it? So it is rotating around this particular axis with omega 1, and the other one is rotating with along this particular axis with omega 2. Now what they have done is that they are brought into contact face to face, coinciding the axis of rotation. So what happened was that they are actually brought to contact. So this will, again, the next condition will be something like these two disks are now in this particular way. Okay, this is the first disk, second disk, and that is again revolving around the center. Now they are asking us the expression for loss of energy. What was the initial kinetic energy for both of them? Half I omega 1 square and half I omega 2 square. Now after combining, you will have a separate kinetic energy. Now they are asking us to find the expression for loss of energy. So final minus initial together. We have a standard equation for solving this question. Just learn that. Okay, half I1 I2 divided by I1 plus I2 omega 1 minus omega 2 square. This is a standard equation for change in kinetic energy, while you have a question in which these things are combined. Okay, so this is a very standard equation. You can directly remember this. Standard in the sense it is a derived equation out of solving all these things. So since you are preparing for this year's NEET, it is very important that you need to remember this equation, because NEET has already asked a question out of that in 2017. If at all it is repeating a question or similar question is asked, you can directly use this equation. Let me substitute it over here. Half multiplied by I1 and I2 are same, isn't it? I, you can substitute for that. I square by 2I, so that will be I itself by 2 multiplied by omega 1 minus of omega 2 square. So this is I by 4. So only one option is having I by 4 over here. So that's our answer. So answer for this question is option number 2. Let's proceed to the next question. This is the next question from 2017 itself. It says that a rope is wound around a hollow cylinder of mass 3 kg and radius 40 centimeter. So this is having a mass of 3 kg and the radius is equal to 40 centimeter. We have to convert it into meter while doing the calculation. Okay, so this is the rope. Let us suppose that we are actually winding a rope like this. Fine. Now what we do is that what is the angular acceleration of if the rope is pulled with a force of 30 Newton. So 30 Newton is the force which it is being pulled downwards. Right, so this 30 Newton is acting tangentially over this particular hollow cylinder, and therefore along this particular axis of rotation it will be having a torque. Okay, so torque is equal to perpendicular distance between the force and this particular center. Okay, about this particular center is actually force multiplied by r cross f. So this angle is 90 degrees, so I can take this as r cross f itself. Okay, so tau is equal to r cross f. This is equal to I alpha. Torque is equal to I alpha. So this is all that we are supposed to do so as to get the answer for angular acceleration. We are supposed to find the angular acceleration, isn't it? What is r here? 40 by 100. Okay, I'm just converting it into meters. Multiplied by f is 30 Newton. This is equal to, and you know, sine 90 is 1. So Rf sine 90, that is equal to 1. So R cross F multiplied by I. See, moment of inertia of a hollow cylinder is the same as the moment of inertia of a ring. You can consider this hollow cylinder as infinite number of rings which are kept above one another. So that is why you can take the moment of inertia of the hollow cylinder as to be equal to that of the ring itself. So you can take it as mr square. Fine. So 3 multiplied by r square, that is 40 by 100 into 40 by 100 multiplied by alpha. Very simple, isn't it? Okay, so this and this can be cancelled off. 3, this will be 10. Now this also goes over there. 2 into 2 are 4, 2 into 5 are 10. So this will be alpha is equal to 50 upon 2, that is 25. Now, what about the units here? Can it be meter per second? Definitely not. It is angular acceleration. So what is angular acceleration then? Angular acceleration is having angular velocity divided by time, isn't it? It is the angle swept by the radius vector in unit time. It is the angle swept by the radius vector in unit time that is called by the name of angular velocity. Now again you are dividing it by time. So angle per unit time. So that is obviously radian is the standard unit of angle divided by second square, radian per second square. See, if linear acceleration is equal to meter per second square, the distance covered is in the terms of meter. That means it is in the terms of length. Here it is actually the distance covered is in the form of angle. So the amount of angle covered per unit time. So amount of angle covered per unit time is the angular velocity. That per unit time means angular acceleration. So that will be radian per second square. Definitely you could have directly removed these two options out of your list, and then these two options can be negotiated with the help of this particular calculation. So this is radian per second square. This is the standard unit of angular acceleration. Just make a note of that. Okay, just because you don't know the angular acceleration unit, you are not supposed to make this question wrong. You cannot afford to get this question wrong. You have done all calculations, and just based on that simple thing called as unit, it's quite, you know, depressing to lose a question. So please make sure that you are understanding the concept or as to how you are actually getting these values in terms of physics. Okay, let's proceed to the next question. So friends, this question is a very good question from circular motion, and that is from the year 2016 exam. A particle of mass 10 gram moves along a circle of radius 6.4 centimeter with constant tangential acceleration. Okay, fine. What is the magnitude of acceleration if the kinetic energy of the particle becomes equal to this much at the end of second revolution after the beginning of the motion? Okay, so it is beginning the motion, initial velocity is 0, and as it keeps on going there, due to its tangential acceleration, the velocity is going to increase. What velocity? The linear velocity is going to increase, not the angular velocity as such. Obviously that is also going to increase, but this acceleration actually is, if this is a particle, it is actually undergoing a circular motion. Now this is the tangential acceleration that you can talk about. Okay, tangential acceleration. So the velocity is again in this direction, so that velocity is increased. Due to that particular reason, the angular velocity will also increase. Now let us understand how to solve this first of all. They are saying that the kinetic energy becomes that much, isn't it, at the end of second revolution. So this is the kinetic energy. I will just equate it to half mv square. Half multiplied by mass is 10 by 100,000. Okay, I am just converting it into kilograms. Half m v square is equal to 8 multiplied by 10 raised to minus of 4. Fine. So this will be 10 raised to 2, 10 raised to 2, that goes to this particular side. Okay. So yeah, I will write another step over here. So v square is equal to 2 8s are 16 multiplied by 10 raised to the power minus 4 multiplied by 10 raised to the power 2. So that's 10 raised to minus of 2 now. Okay, now what will be v? Will be root of this, that is 4 multiplied by 10 raised to minus of 1. So that is the first result that you are going to get. At the time when it has a kinetic energy of this much, its velocity is equal to this much meter per second, right? Okay, now they are saying that this velocity is attained when it has completed a second revolution. That means I can simply use the equation v square is equal to u square plus of 2as, where a is that particular tangential acceleration. Now remember, v square is equal to u square plus 2as, where u will be equal to 0. Why? Because it is said that after beginning of the motions, that means it is just beginning it, so the initial velocity is equal to 0. So v square is equal to u square plus 2as. So s is equal to, so in place of a we have to substitute here, isn't it? V square is 416 into 10 raised to minus 2. Okay, square of this divided by 2 multiplied by s. S is actually 2 into 2 pi r. 2 multiplied by 2 into 22 by 7 multiplied by r. So the radius is actually given to be 6.4. Okay, 6.4, and that has to be divided by 100. Why? We have to convert it into meters. Okay, and if you do this, it's a slightly big calculation that you can do over there. Your answer, you are going to get as 0.1 meter per second square. So this is a good question. I hope you have understood how I have solved this. Okay, so this is option number 1. So the correct answer for this question is option number 1. This was pretty challenging for me to solve when I was sitting in front of the question paper when I had written the exam. Yes, this was something that I had to attempt while I was writing the real NEET exam. Okay, I wrote 2016 NEET exam first of all. Let's proceed to further questions now. So this is a question from 2016 paper, that is NEET 2. Okay. See, if I just comment about this particular paper, it is all about, this paper is all about, going wrong in the options. You can make a lot of silly mistakes over there. If at all this physics paper is tough, it is only tough because you can make a lot of silly mistakes in that. Just practice this, you will understand how hard it is for you not to make a silly mistake in this paper. I made a lot of silly mistakes in this paper, so I have a lot of experience of making silly mistakes in that. So from my own experience, I can tell you that this is paper of silly mistakes, if you can say. Comment on that. Okay, a solid sphere 2 by 5 mr square of mass m and radius r is rotating about its diameter. Okay, fine. A solid cylinder of same mass and same radius. Remember that this angular speed is twice. Fine, that of the sphere. They are just asking us to find the kinetic energy ratios. Fine. So what is kinetic energy of a sphere? Half I is 2 by 5 mr square omega square. Fine. Yeah. Divided by half cylinder, isn't it? So mr square by 2, I mean this is a solid cylinder, so it is just like a disc, isn't it? The solid cylinder can be considered as a lot of discs placed one after the other. This is a disc, this is a disc, so these discs are placed one after the other, so the moment of inertia of this particular thing will be equal to that of a disc itself. Omega square is actually, angular speed is twice that of the sphere. So if this is omega square, then this is twice of that. So twice of omega all square is actually 4 omega square, isn't it? This cancels, this cancels, this also gets cancelled. Fine. So this is equal to 2 by 5 multiplied by 2 divided by 4. So that's directly 1 is to 5. Okay, simple question. So the correct answer for this question is option B. Okay, let's proceed to the next question. Okay guys, this is again a question from the same paper, 2016 NEET 2. Okay, NEET 2 2016. See, in the given figure, acceleration is given 15. Fine, represents the total acceleration. So obviously there is a centripetal force which is acting towards this center. Okay, centripetal force is acting towards this center, and it has a velocity against a tangential velocity will be there. So you have two accelerations for this particular ball. One is the tangential acceleration and the other one is the centripetal acceleration. So this tangential acceleration, centripetal acceleration are actually in two directions, and you can say that this is the resultant of the tangential acceleration which is at orientation like this, and this is the centripetal acceleration also. So they are saying that the net acceleration of this particular body is actually in this particular direction, and the value is 15 meter per second square. Okay, so radius is also given to be 2.5 meter, and they are asking you the speed of the particle. Okay, so what if I take 15 root 30? 15 cos 30. 15 cos 30 will be the acceleration towards the center, and that is the centripetal acceleration. So that is given by the equation v square by r. Fine, v square, we are supposed to find v square divided by r is again 2.5. So what is v then? V will be something like root of, see, 15 cos 30 root 3 by 2, fine, multiplied by 2.5. I will write it as 5 by 2. Okay, now in place of root 3 is 1.732, isn't it? Let us take it as 2 itself. Let us nearly take it as 2. So I'll just cancel this off. So what will I get after this? I will get something that is 15 into 5, 75, by 2 is 37.5. I will just try to find out this particular value. Okay, 5 5s are 25. So it is more than that. So my answer is either C or D. That is obvious. I have to get the square root of 37.5, and I know that 5 5s are 25, but that is lesser than 37.5. So my options are either 5.7 or 6.2. Let us take 6.2 square and see. 6.2 into 6.2, that is nearly equal to, I have found this out to be 38 point something, 44 or something. Okay, this is 38.44 or something, and 5.7 looks like the most appropriate value in that kind of a situation, 37.5. So obviously I will mark option C as the correct answer. A bit of approximation was done here on root 3, but that requires, whenever you do these kind of approximation, be patient, and you should invest more of your brain while you get each result. Okay, otherwise you can get wrong over here. I said you can make a lot of silly mistakes over here. Okay, yeah, so the correct answer is option C. Let's proceed to one more question here. This is a good question from the year 2016 NEET 1 exam. Let's see this. From a disk of radius r and mass m, so this is the big red disk and it has a mass of m, radius is capital R, a circular hole of diameter r. This is the circular hole and its diameter is r, so its radius will be r by 2. And it is actually passing in this way, and it is touching the center. So this is the center of the big disk, and this particular small cutout is actually passing through the center of the big disk. Okay, now they are saying that we need to find out the moment of inertia of the remaining disk. Okay, whatever is remaining after you are cutting this out, about a perpendicular axis passing through the center. So the axis will be passing through this particular area, passing through the center perpendicular to this plane. We have to find that out. So we will have to subtract the moment of inertia of this particular small disk. Okay, fine. You can very easily prove that the mass of cutout is m by 4. This can be very easily proved. See, take the total area of that and give it a mass of m. Take the total area of this particular small circle and give it how much mass that is present over there. Okay, that can be done in that particular way. Mass of the cutout is m by 4. That can be very easily proved, that you can do it yourself. Okay, that is a very simple technique to do it. Now, what is the mass of this particular circle now? Moment of inertia of whatever is remaining is initial moment of inertia minus how much is removed. That's moment of inertia also has to be removed as such. Okay, initially the moment of inertia is obviously mr square divided by 2. Now from this you are going to subtract. From this you are actually going to subtract how much is removed. Okay, moment of inertia of this particular small disk about this particular axis passing through the center perpendicular to its plane has to be subtracted, and then you will have to use the parallaxes theorem to move this to this side. So mr square by 2 was the initial moment of inertia of the big disk minus of the moment of inertia of this particular one is m by 4 r square, that is r by 2 the whole square, divided by 12, put it into 1 by 2. Okay, fine, plus of this is mr square by, this is the moment of inertia along this particular axis. Now I have to transfer this to this axis, plus mr square. So this is plus m r by 2 the whole square. Okay, This is all you are supposed to do here, and if you do that, you will get 13 mr square by 32. So this is a very routine kind of a question, and that was asked in 2016 NEET 1. Okay, so the correct answer is option 3. So what was the initial mass, initial moment of inertia of the whole disk minus of whatever is cut out? Now the moment of inertia of the cutout is actually along this axis, so we have to transfer this to that axis using parallel axis theorem. So about this axis we are supposed to find out the moment of inertia of this particular small mass that is cut out. So that is mr square of this particular, I mean the moment of inertia of this particular axis about this particular axis plus mr by 2 whole square to reach up to this particular axis. Parallel axis theorem has been used over here. So you'll get this particular answer as a result of that. So with that, I am just completing this particular video. So I have taken a lot of questions that were previously asked in these kind of exams. So you can understand the level of questions with which they are, level of the questions that they are actually asking in this particular exam. So do practice questions of this type. Keep your level of solving questions in this particular level, and try to do as much questions as possible in the remaining few days before the NEET exam of this particular year. Right? Thank you.